welcome to the NALCS, not NALCS, it's LCS. LCS. Hello and welcome to the North American. Oh no, this could be a problem. Okay, alright. Welcome to the not NALCS because it's the LCS.
Hey, you ready for the LCS?
Yes.
Alright, Chips, game time. You gotta get this right. Hello and welcome to the North American, not North American, because it is the Championship Series. It's just the LCS. You have 5 minutes to get it done, man. You gotta get it right. Hello and welcome to the LCS. I got it. Can we get the cameras rolling? Let's take this now. While I still have it. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the League North of American Championship Series. Damn it! Let me be the first to welcome you to a new era for North American League of Legends, where the offseason brought more than its fair share of superstars and surprises. We've got some OGs joining the tailgate today, while fans were indulging in the festivities like basketball, 10 out of 10 tacos, free swag, and a little competitive water pong. Sights and sounds of a beautiful day here in Southern California as the teams load into the arena to kick off their 2019 spring split. Every single one will be hungry to start their season off with a win, but of course, only half of them can do so. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the legendary League of Legends League Countdown, where for 30 minutes we finally get the season started and rank the off-season roster moves until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champion Select. I'm James Dash Patterson, joined by a face I missed ever so dearly, Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler, a face I'm happy to see. Hi, Lamb. Thank you so much for joining us here this split. And, of course, Mark Zimmerman, who has a face.
Not for long! I can't get anything from you, man.
No, never, man. I can't let you off easy. Hi, thank you so much for joining us. It's the first year you're joining us on this side of the LCS. So how is that transition going for you from front of stage to back of house?
It's a lot different. Like, if I was still a player, I'd be like, feel the pressure of having to play, figure out what I want to play today. And now I feel like a lot of the pressure has come off.
Right, now you can just flame everyone incessantly, and you're no worse for it, just like Mark does.
That's what I built my whole career off of. It's just like insult other people, don't pay attention to me and what I'm doing.
I love it. Let's dive in. Before we sink our teeth into day one of the season, let's send it over to the stage for the presentation of last split's championship banner.
Returning to the final to defend their title, it's Team Liquid.
Let's get ourselves into game number 1. They're going in for one. They've got Seizo looking for the first kill. Not quite yet. Blobber holds the front line. Expecting Tanky.
We can turn this. We can turn this. Let's get this. Hey, look at that.
He's going in for a kill. Finds Sneaky. Finds a giant knockup. They're going to knock down Seizo.
Nice.
The base will fall. Back-to-back sweeps. TL's the best team in North America.
Thanks, Dash. I am here with Team Liquid Steve Aronset. Oh my gosh, you guys are about to raise your second banner, and last year you guys raised your first. So how does it feel seeing both of them next to each other and coming in this year as the team to beat?
It feels pretty good. You know, I noticed that we changed out a lot of the pictures as well as the banner, and it's kind of nice to see the moments of our wins. I think there's a lot of pressure, though. I think after winning back-to-back championships has created an expectation of winning for the team. During the offseason, we made 2 changes to the roster. Huge changes, and you know, after so much success, I think the expectations are really high. And I feel like that is probably our biggest kind of obstacle this year, is how do we challenge ourselves to overcome that pressure, right? And I think TL as an organization is probably the one that's most equipped to turn that into something that energizes us, that gets us going so that we can put up 2 more this year.
Well, tell me about those 2 roster changes specifically, because just when it looked like, oh, okay, Team Liquid can't get any stronger, you bring in Core JJ, a former world champion, and Jensen, one of the best NA mid laners here. So what are they bringing to the team?
So I think one of the challenges in League of Legends for North America has been the expectation that we just can't win a world championship, right? And I think Jack, to his credit, going to the semifinals at Worlds was a great moment for the organization and also the region. And when we had the opportunity to pick up Jensen, it was like, well, here's a guy that made it to the semifinals, and that was a big addition. And then to add a previous world champion in Core JJ was kind of like icing on the cake. So I think that puts together a roster that is really built for international success. A lot of people have asked me, like, what was the planning in all of this? And for me, I feel like we basically have failed if we aren't thinking big enough. If I'm not putting a world championship as the goal, then I've already failed. So that's what we've done.
I think it's funny that you mentioned pushing Cloud9 out of the photos that we have here in the studio, because you're playing against them today. And I know Jensen's probably pretty excited to take down an old team, but judging from the banter back and forth between you and Jack, I'm guessing that you probably want to take this one as well. So what would it mean to you taking down Jack and Cloud9 today?
I mean, it feels great. This is just the start of the season, right? It's how we finish that matters more than this match in particular, and how far we make it at Worlds. But it will feel really good if we come out strong. We beat C9 today, which should happen. Yeah.
There you go. It should happen.
Will happen.
Will happen. Confident words. Steve, thank you so much, and
You're
best
welcome.
of luck to you and your team today.
Thanks, Avli.
Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Avli. We'll see if Team Liquid can defend their title at the end of the spring split as the finals head to St. Louis at the Chaifetz Arena, home of the St. Louis University Billikens. Excited to make our way to the Midwest. In anticipation of our finals, let's run through some fun facts around St. Louis. I, for one, am excited that the LCS is going to the birthplace of the ice cream cone. I'm going to get my fair share of those.
I mean, I'm pretty hyped that we are going to be playing in the first American city to host the Olympics.
That is pretty sweet. I actually didn't know that.
Also, did you guys know that 7-Up was invented here?
Did you guys come up with all these, or did the producer feed them to you?
We
no,
Googled and we
did our
went
homework.
down the list.
Yeah, we researched.
Yeah, me too. Did you know that there's more barbecue sauce eaten in St. Louis per capita than anywhere else in America?
All right, well, while we
that one?
check the validity of some of those St. Louis facts, please check out the announcement article at the new and improved LCS hub at riot.com/LCS. When we return, we pit off-season rosters against one another, and we look ahead to today's games. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown. We're about 20 minutes away from jumping into that Cloud9 versus Team Liquid game that everyone is so excited to see. But after North America's most impressive run at Worlds, every team entered the offseason hungry to make vast improvements. And Team Liquid kicked off the postseason or post-World shuffle with a huge set of changes.
Yeah, they were hungry, and it seems like they're ready to spend again, James, because as they said, they got a world champion to go along with Doublelift in the bottom lane. Core JJ has joined the team. As you can see there, Pobelter also leaving from the mid lane. And as Steve just went over, they decided to pick from Cloud9, the most successful North American roster internationally, because they have international hopes now. So adding this power in the mid lane is going to do a lot to really change the way that this team operates.
I think because it's so hype, people are just assuming they're shoo-ins for Worlds at this point, but the journey there is still a little bit up in the air because, yes, you do have all these new studs, but they also have to all synergize together, as well as the fact that you sometimes kind of see that hangover effect where because their lofty expectations are so high, sometimes they short sight on some of the steps to get there.
But at the end of the day, you're taking back-to-back split champions here domestically, and you're straight upgrading on paper in two different positions. So a lot of people looking at this team to top the tables yet again here in the spring split. I want to talk about 100 Thieves, another team that impressed in the early stages of the franchise system, but again, made some big upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, this team was, I think, without question, the best new franchise team. They had great finishes, both splits, made their way into Worlds as a new organization, but they were not going to rest on their laurels, and they got two upgrades, I would say, overall. Huhi coming in for Ryu is a big addition. He obviously has synergized with Afromu before. And then Bang, another world champion, making his way over to North America. Yeah, so they're stacked, and I think this is a huge upgrade for the team.
I think it's also worth noting that unlike a lot of the other teams that got rid of players, Ryu has stayed on as a mid lane positional coach to help out with Prolly and the rest of the staff. So I think that's really cool.
So their team now has a super strong AD carry and a super strong top laner, and they have a mid laner that's a supportive mid laner. So their team is gelled for success. They have the setup to create these win conditions either through their bot lane or their top lane, and their mid laner plays through that. So I'm really excited to see how these guys are going to do.
The pieces are there. Now it comes down to the execution. Let's kind of flip the tables here. Let's talk about a team that I'm a little bit more uncertain around their offseason moves. Echo Fox here, trading out all 5 members of their previous roster.
Right. So all 5 members of the Echo Fox members have changed. Now Huni, Dardoch, Demonte, Lost, Smoothie, they all have left. And now we have new people coming in. Phoenix, Rush, Apollo, Haku, and Solo. So we have 3 members from Clutch Gaming and 2 members that are new to the team. And I'm really excited to see how Rush does in NA. He left NA a couple years ago and went to Korea, and we haven't seen much of him there. So I'm really excited to see how he works with Phoenix, and if Phoenix can go back to the form that he used to be on Team Liquid. So there's a lot of unknowns about that roster, but I'm excited to see Rush back on NA.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing, is it feels like it's going to be on him and Phoenix to be the firepower for this team, because usually Solo and Apollo are seen more as supportive players. So not only are we all stoked to see Rush back from a personality perspective, but he's going to need to make moves on the Rift too.
He was a dynamic player the last time he was in the NALCS, but I think it's crucial to note that there is still that trio core from Clutch Gaming. So while it's an entirely new look for Echo Fox, there still is some existing synergies within that roster.
Yeah, and especially Hakuo, that part of it, I think he can work really well with Rush. He's a big playmaker, and if Rush has more people making plays behind him, then it looks better.
Absolutely. Well, in previous years, we've done our best to predict not only the end of split rankings for the teams, but when they'll rise and fall throughout the 9 weeks of the regular split. So this year, we decided to introduce a new game to follow these trends, the LCS stock market.
I am so excited for this segment, James.
Okay.
Me too.
All right, so we kind of gamified this. What you see behind us here is an ELO system essentially created by our stats team. What we did is we took all of the players from Summer Split. We assigned them an ELO of 100 at the beginning of the split. We let that play through the results of 2018 Summer, and then applied the roster moves. It spat out these numbers. Of course, these are somewhat arbitrary numbers, but it gives us our jumping off point, and I wanted to watch you guys grapple with it. Important thing to note, each of these guys was handed 5,100 points to spend in the LCS stock market, and they are buying for 2-week periods, so for the next 4 games that each team will play. Let's go ahead and take a look at your portfolios, and I'm gonna pick them apart.
I'm about to get
So we're
rich.
gonna hot swap over to that and see who you guys bought into at the beginning of this split.
Oh my
All right.
God. Okay.
So a fair amount of discrepancies between them all. And what I want to start with is the fact that all 3 of you have bought into both Golden Guardians and Team Liquid. It's the only 2 teams that all 3 of you bought into.
Yeah, so obviously, as the person who spent the most on it, I'll hop in here. I think Golden Guardians are undervalued. It's the 3rd to last team right now, but I think everyone had them in top 5-ish, or at least playoff contention in their own individual power rankings. And their start of the split is still a little difficult. It's not like a ton of easy teams, but because they're so lowly rated, even if they go 2-2, as long as they beat some people above them as well, their ELO rises, and hopefully we get some value out of them there.
Yeah, there's 2 main things you're balancing in this game. One is, of course, these 2018 rankings, and the other one are the matchups that they have in the first 2 weeks. North America does a lot of difficult matchups where the top teams play each other. So we all had faith in Team Liquid. Like, we know that, like, this is an extremely good roster. However, since in the first week they're playing a lot of the other top 4 teams like 100 Thieves, Cloud9, and TSM, not all of us wanted to go super hard into spend a lot of money on them.
I'm going to get to you and 100 Thieves in just a moment, but before I do that, I do want to talk about TSM, because that's another one that
what are you doing, dude?
that the 2 of you align on.
You guys are heavily invested.
This was a big one for me. The matchups that they have in week number 1, as well as being rated kind of in the middle here. I've heard a lot of really good things about them from preseason stuff.
Okay.
Like, you know, these are always rumors.
Scrim results. Scrim results.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I knows very well how far to trust scrim results, but that led to this. It was a lot because of the matchups, though.
Yeah, be careful. I'm going to have to call you on insider trading here if there's too much of that backhouse stuff. No, I'm just kidding.
I can't admit it. But we heard. But yeah, the matchups are the big thing. The same way that we're saying Team Liquid and some of these other teams are playing a lot of other playoff contenders, I don't feel like TSM's roster is quite as difficult, and they're already kind of in the middle, so that's a decent evaluation of where they should be, and they should go up from some early wins.
But now, talk to me about you indexing into 100 Thieves, whereas these 2 guys are staying clear.
Right, I talked about it earlier, how I'm really excited to see how that team works with the hard carry top lane and hard carry bot lane, and bringing Hui in to really help accelerate them to carry. And I'm feeling 100 Thieves. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm going to have to say, this looks like a mistake from your guys' end.
I think that they are really undervalued, but they have the hardest schedule,
for the first 2 weeks
of any team for the first 2 weeks. And that is why I shied away from it. They are playing every other team that I have in the top.
But it also means that there are big gains to be made.
Value,
Right, if
value.
they do well, they go way up.
I have to have faith in them.
I do
I'm
think
committed.
that they are super underrated on this list, though.
That's why I put Echo Fox as just like, give me 1 point of the last place team. Let's see if it goes up
I
a
love
lot.
it.
Yeah.
For me, the most telling aspects of this is the fact that all three of you chose TL stock, which even being the highest price just means that you guys have such confidence in this roster's ability to pick up wins over the course of the split that they will still inevitably rise in value. And then the fact that you all indexed into Golden Guardians means that we feel they're the most undervalued team and therefore have the most growth to attain. There you have it. Please play along at home, if you will. We're going to do this in 2-week increments. So again, they're sitting on these picks for weeks 1, week 2. We'll revisit in week 3 and give them an opportunity to swap out some of their stocks. In just about 10-ish minutes, the rank 1 and 2 teams, Team Liquid and Cloud9, will face off. To give us a preview of that clash, though, we're going to gather some thoughts from the casters.
Casters,
Get out there. Go, Kobe. Go, go, go.
Thank you very much, Dash. Oh, hey, what's up, Kobe?
hey, how's it going?
Going well. Nice job. Good run. You made it. I'm proud of you.
Just in time.
So what better way to kick off the start of the spring split than the debut of a Team Liquid who managed to take their back-to-back championship roster and make it even better?
That is right. Jensen is joining them right off of World Semifinals. They were able to take Cloud9's mid laner, so upgrade there. And then they also added CoreJJ, former world champion, to join Doublelift in the bottom lane. That was already a powerhouse bottom lane for North America.
Yeah, that team looks insane. I think people are looking at maybe if they can make a Deep Worlds run this time. When speaking of Deep Worlds run, of course, Cloud9, their opponents in the opening match, probably had the best international performance of any North American team ever, World Semis.
Definitely true. And a large part of it was Licorice, this rookie that they brought themselves up from the Academy League. He won Rookie of the Split in spring. He absolutely dominated people at Worlds as well, solving the questions that people were like, oh my God, is he going to be able to perform internationally? Well, the answer is yes, definitely Worlds caliber player. Niski, the other guy coming in for Cloud9 to try and fill in Jensen's shoes, though, does have some more questions. He's actually been in North America before. He had some time on Team Envy. It didn't inspire as much confidence, so he's definitely going to have a high bar set for him.
Yeah, I think Niski is a solid player, but certainly not to the level of Jensen, at least not just yet. We'll see in a year or so, or maybe he can step up right now today. Of course, we can't wait to jump into Champion Select, but until then, we're taking a short break. When we return, Dash and the analysts share their thoughts on the Summer Finals rematch in Game 1. Don't touch that browser.
There's no year where I go in thinking like this isn't the year. It's hard to do better than we've already done or I've already done because TL's won the last 2, so
back-to-back sweeps. TL's
if we don't win this year, then it would be a failure.
What World showed me is that no matter how big the stage is or how many people are watching, I can beat anybody.
Licorice solo carrying this game.
Once our roster was like announced and I found out who my teammates were, I felt like immense pressure on me. A lot of them have made it to Worlds, Froggen's Froggen.
I don't really think anyone forgot who I am. I gave a lot of things to come here, and none of that paid off. This year can be like the year to make up for it. The fans have a lot of doubt to like us, but I know for a fact that we're going to do really well this year. I'll make it happen. This year is not only about me, it's about the team.
We're not the same CLG we were last year, so I'd say have some faith in us.
Last time when I was here, I got MVP. I'm gonna show them I can do it again.
지금 LCS에 5명의 우승 반지를 낀 플레이어들이 있는데 사실 이거는 그렇게 중요하지 않다고 생각해요. 지금 LCS에 필요한 거는 월드 우승팀이고 그 팀이 바로 팀 리퀴드가 될 거예요.
포기할까 말까 고민을 하다가 포기하지 않고 새롭게 시작하기 위해서 여기에 지금 왔습니다.
Expectations are a lot higher this year. Looking forward to winning.
저는 한국에서 모든 걸 잃었고, and now it's time for LCS.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, about 5 minutes away from Champion Select for Game 1. And while we're certainly excited for Team Liquid versus Cloud9, don't let Game 1 overshadow the fact that we have plenty of hype matchups today. Game 2 has 100 Thieves introducing Bang to the LCS versus a TSM embarking on a new era for the org. Then CLG's Power of Evil looks to take down his old team Optic, who field a world champion in the mid lane, plus 2 more clashes steeped in rivalries before we call day 1. When asked about his prospects for the season, though, Reaper doesn't think Niski comes into the league as the best mid laner, but that he will be.
About the Niski, so basically, is not that smart yet. He's a very new guy, and he's a very young rising star, but not, I don't like to say not as Jensen level yet. Probably he have to learn a lot under me and with the team, but he will be better than Jensen at some point. Our defending champs TL, we're gonna smash them today.
I feel like every time there's a Reaper interview about his players, it's always like, oh, they don't have good brains. They're kind of dumb. They need to learn everything. That's his #1 point for every player he talks about.
Well, that's what a coach is for, right? To make them smart and learn how to play the game.
Well, and it points to the fact that Cloud9 is the org most willing to bring in green talent, fresh talent, and say, hey, they're not a fully fledged diamond yet, but we can kind of cut and mold them into that. So he has high hopes for Niski's prospects throughout the season. To get a reminder of the players taking to the stage, let's look at the starting lineups for Cloud9. They've got Licorice, Sven Skaren, Niski, Sneaky, and Zazel.
Yeah, and if you're wondering what they're trying to spell out there, we went ahead and helped you for the first matchup against Team Liquid.
Graphics team. TL sucks. The meme team remains true to their name here in Cloud9. But hi, I actually want to talk about that because with Niski, a younger player, fresher player with a lot to learn. He's coming into an org that is known for winning here in the North American LCS, and he's filling big shoes in Jensen. But what can that kind of meme team environment do to maybe alleviate some of the pressure and help him adjust to this region?
For players that are import players coming from Korea or Europe or wherever, it's important that they feel comfortable here. So having a team that is able to joke around and kind of make you feel at home is really important to the longevity of like how he does. So it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, but is there like a double-edged sword to that? Like where can that bite you? Or is there a time when it goes too far?
Right, so they'll just have to create a line where professionality and memeliness, right? So everyone is here to win, and obviously he is as well. So they need to draw the line of what's meme and what's professional.
All right, well, while it could never be said that Game 1 will determine who won the offseason, fans of both teams will be hungry to see who comes out on top in that mid lane matchup. We have Niski versus Jensen.
Yeah, and you even heard Reaper himself kind of admitting that, like, coming in, he's probably not a one-to-one replacement, for Jensen. Jensen is a complete stud, but you need to remember that this is not the exact same Niski that we last saw in North America. He did go overseas, back to Europe, and played on Splice, and was a huge factor in that team's improvement, and their success. And I think while the numbers might not be like the splashiest, you can't deny how important he was to that team's success.
Yeah, we have to remember it was a short stint on Envy. He shared time with Ninja in the mid lane. Hi, you actually played against the guy, so I wanted to get your thoughts on him as a mid laner back then, understanding that we're a few years removed from that.
Right, well, I hope he doesn't hate me, but I'm gonna have to say it wasn't very memorable. So it has been quite a long time, and there's a lot that has changed since then, right? He has a stronger team. He went to Europe and trained and played against all these top-tier caliber mid laners. So he's a lot stronger than he was back then. I'm looking forward to see how he's improved since then.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the Cloud9 roster behind him will unlock or allow him to do in terms of his growth. Well, one player who made his name known in his rookie year of pro play was Licorice, who did in 1 year what Doublelift has been trying to do for about 8. Made it to a world semifinal.
It's absolutely crazy when you think about Licorice's career trajectory. 1 year ago, playing his first LCS game, and not even 365 days later on that stage and knocking Korean teams out of the worlds and being a major factor in why they were able to do it, not just tagging along for the ride.
Of course, while Doublelift hasn't had the international success, he has had the domestic success that Licorice hasn't. But what I think is interesting here is that the caliber of teammates around Doublelift on this TL roster has never been higher. He has his best opportunity to make something happen.
Right, and at this point, he just has no excuses for like performing internationally, right? To be fair to him, NA as a whole has never done international success that well, so he really needs to step up and like show the world what he's worth, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good point that like NA had never really had like that champion that was like, this is the guy who smashes Koreans for us. But now that one has kind of emerged in an organization in C9, well, they've always kind of been the best at it, but now especially making semis, it's kind of like, well, if Doublelift is supposed to be the protagonist and hero of the LCS, why hasn't he been able to do it yet? So this roster is the no more excuses roster for Doublelift.
All right, well then in reference to this first game of the day, I do want to talk about some win conditions with these roster moves in mind and whatnot. Mark, we're going to start with you. TL, how did they come out with the first victory of the split?
So for me, the first thing to do is pick one of the kind of safe bruisers in the top lane. I'm lumping Sion in there just so it fits nicely in the graphic. But any of those kind of safe, autonomous picks in the top lane that don't lose that hard, because I think Licorice versus Impact is a scary matchup for Team Liquid. Power pick in the bot lane, preferably Lucian for Doublelift. There's a couple strong meta marksman picks like the Kai'Sa and the Ezreal that he can go with as well. And then finally for me, they are on blue side, so I don't think they'll get counter pick in the mid lane, but save Jensen's pick for as late as possible and hope you get to see what Niski's playing to try and abuse the rookie.
When you talk about a bot lane priority pick, would you pick it as high as the very first pick in the draft, or?
No, I don't think there's really a marksman worth first picking right now.
Maybe like 2-3.
Yeah, but in the first phase, get it so that way you're saving your later picks in the second phase for Jensen.
Hi, what's the response for C9?
So I think it really comes down to one thing for C9 to pull ahead. It's going to be really important to have their jungle control and Svenskeren control the pace of how Xmithie does. And really it comes down to me, like how Niski does versus Jensen. If they'll be able to create the synergy between Niski and Svenskeren, and if they can carry that into the other lanes, transition that pressure into bot lane, transition that pressure into top lane, because I don't think there's a clear difference in the terms of power level for bot lane and top lane. Maybe as the season goes on, Doublelift gets more synergy. Maybe, but for now, I think it's just going to be dependent on the mid and jungle.
Well, the win conditions are laid out for our first game of the season. Both teams hungry for that W. Let's send it over to the Battle Arena so we can kick off the 2019 season.
Thank you.